Bonjour. Je suis ici à Saint-Malo, France. I'm here in Saint-Malo, France. It's part of the Brittany region. And actually back there, on top of that whole fortress or the wall there, actually is a statue of Jacques Cartier. And Pierre Trudeau actually was here commemorating that in June of 1984. It must have been one of the last things he did as Prime Minister. When you think about this region and when you think about Jacques Cartier, and it was to commemorate the 450th anniversary of him going over to Canada, it's one of the things in which we recognize the racial or the ethnic makeup of people. Canada, of course, was started by, other than the Aboriginal people who were already there, but the immigrants coming there were from France and England, Europe, other places. So people tend to look like me. And the interesting thing is just to recognize the change and sometimes how you can see some of the changes. Here in Saint-Malo, it was quite obvious that most of the people who are here are light-skinned people like myself. You don't see that many dark-skinned or black people here. And that's one of the things is when we first came to Paris, coming in from the airport, I noticed that there was a good racial makeup of what I thought the country was. But then as we got closer to the city center, and that's where we're staying in the city center of Paris, then it's interesting how there's not nearly as many dark-skinned or black-skinned people. In 2005, France actually had race riots because of an incident in which two young men or two young boys were killed by an unfortunate incident. And there was all kinds of burning of cars and just riots in the street, all that kind of stuff. The government finally had to come to the realization that it wasn't just a bunch of hooligans, as Sarkozy was saying at the time, that really there was a reason for this. And a lot of the reason was because Muslim people and dark-skinned people coming to Paris, coming to different parts of France, were segregated in certain parts that weren't as prosperous as others, and also didn't have the same job opportunities other people did as well. In Canada, can we tell an area is prosperous or not by the makeup of the color of people's skin? Sometimes it's rather obvious, other times it's not. But one of the things we have to recognize as our country is changing and the racial makeup of our country is changing, that we're going to have to make sure that we do a good job of integrating so that we don't have the problems that France and other countries have had if they're not doing a good job of integrating people. By 2025, maybe 2030, Stats Canada indicates that all of our net population growth in Canada is going to come from immigration. Since most of the people coming to the country don't look like me, then that means that we're going to see exponential changes in the racial makeup of the country. Anyway, something for us to work on in the workplace as well as our own personal lives to make sure that people feel as Canadian as I do when they come to the country. I hope you have an opportunity to come to here in Saint-Malo. It's a little bit of a drizzly day now, but there's lots of other sunny days around here, and enjoy yourself.